Hello my dear students, ever thought how your body breathes without you even trying? Today we will break down the mechanism of respiration, how your lungs, muscles and brain work together to keep you alive. Let's make respiration super simple and exam ready. Ready to breathe in the concept. Let's begin. Mechanism of respiration. Respiration is the process of gas exchange that keeps our cells alive. It involves three major steps, each playing a vital role in oxygen delivery and carbon dioxide removal. Pulmonary ventilation or breathing, the inflow or inhalation and outflow or exhalation of air. Air moves between the atmosphere and the alveoli of the lungs, driven by pressure differences created by contraction and relaxation of respiratory muscles like the diaphragm. Second one is the external respiration or pulmonary gas exchange. It occurs in the lungs. Exchange of gases between alveoli and the pulmonary capillaries across the respiratory membrane. Blood in the pulmonary capillaries gains oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Internal respiration or tissue gas exchange. It occurs between systemic blood capillaries and body tissue cells. So blood delivers oxygen to cells and receives carbon dioxide from the cells. Cellular respiration. Inside cells, oxygen is used to produce ATP. As a result, carbon dioxide is produced as a waste product, metabolic waste product. So what are the key factors affecting breathing efficiency? Alveolar surface tension, it affects lung expansion. Second one is the lung compliance, that is the ease with which lungs expand. Airway resistance, resistance to airflow through respiratory passages. Gas exchange, gases move passively. External respiration, that is the bulk flow of air into and out of the lungs. And internal respiration, capillary gas exchange in body tissues. So flow of air from the external environment happens due to pressure changes in the lungs. Alveolar gas exchange, it depends on surface area, partial pressure gradients of gases and matching of ventilation and perfusion. Pressure changes during pulmonary ventilation. Pulmonary ventilation or breathing depends on pressure differences between the atmosphere and the lung. Basic principle of air movement. Air moves into the lungs when lung pressure is lower than atmospheric pressure. Air moves out when lung pressure is higher than atmospheric pressure. Normal atmospheric pressure at sea level is 760 millimeter Hg or 1 atmospheric pressure. So inhalation or breathing in, it is a step-by-step process. Before inhalation, lung pressure is equals to the atmospheric pressure or 760 mmHg. No air movement occurs in this process. To inhale, lung volume must increase, causing lung pressure to drop below 760 mmHg. This pressure drop is created by muscle contraction, mainly by diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. Role of diaphragm or main muscle of inhalation. Dome-shaped skeletal muscle at the bottom of the chest cavity. It is controlled by the phrenic nerves like C3, C4, C5 spinal nerve. Contraction flattens the diaphragm, increasing chest height. There is the ventral diameter. This the diaphragm can be called as the umbrella muscle. During exhalation, it relaxes, so diaphragm dome, and during inhalation, it contracts and diaphragm become flattened. What are the facts? During quiet breathing, diaphragm moves down approximately 1 centimeter and draws in approximately 500 ml of air. It creates pressure differences of 1 to 3 mmHg. During deep or forceful inhalation, diaphragm moves down up to 10 centimeter and draws in 2 to 3 liters of air. It creates pressure differences of 100 mmHg. Diaphragm accounts for approximately 75% of air intake during quiet breathing. Conditions like pregnancy, obesity or tight clothing can restrict diaphragm movement. This is the diagram showing at rest when the diaphragm is relaxed, alveolar pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure and there is no air. So atmospheric pressure when 760 mmHg and then during inhalation the diaphragm contracts and the external intercostal muscles also contract. The chest cavity expands and the alveolar pressure drops below atmospheric pressure. Air flows into the lungs in response to the pressure gradient and the lung volume expands. During deep inhalation, the scalene and the stercoskeletal mastoid muscles expand and the chest further, thereby creating a greater drop in alveolar pressure. During exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and the external intercostals relax. The chest and lungs recoil and the chest cavity contracts and the alveolar pressure increases above atmospheric pressure. Air flows out of the lungs in response to the internal intercostal and abdominal muscles contract, thereby reducing the size of the chest cavity further and creating a greater increase in alveolar pressure. Role of external intercostal muscles: it is found between the ribs. Lift the rib upward and outward during contraction. It increases chest cavity size front to back, that is anterior to posterior, and side to side, that is lateral. It is responsible for approximately 25% of air intake during quiet breathing. Intrapleural pressure or pleural cavity pressure: it is always lower than atmospheric pressure or subatmospheric. Before inhalation, 756 mmHg, that is less than 4 mmHg than atmospheric pressure. During inhalation, drops to 750 mmHg. It keeps lungs stuck to chest wall due to surface tension of moist pleura. Negative pressure in pleural cavity. What happens during inhalation? Thoracic cavity expands. Parietal pleura is pulled outward and visceral pleura and lungs follow. Lung volume increases, but alveolar or intrapulmonary pressure drops to 758 mmHg. Air flows into the lungs from high to low pressure. Accessory muscles, which are used in forceful inhalation. These muscles help during exercise or deep breathing, but not used during quiet breathing. Sternocleidomastoid, it elevates the sternum, and scalene muscles, it lifts first and second rib. Pectoralis minor, it lifts third to fifth ribs. So what diaphragms function during breathing? Inhaled air, chest cavity expansion, intercostal muscles, contraction of the intercostal muscles, then lung expanding with inhaled oxygen rich air, and then contraction or flattening of the diaphragm occurs during inhalation. But during exhalation, chest cavity contraction and relaxation of the intercostal muscle, lungs contract and expelling the carbon dioxide rich air, and relaxation of the diaphragm. Exhalation or expiration, the breathing out process. Key concept: air flows out of the lungs when alveolar pressure becomes greater than atmospheric pressure. This happens when the lungs recoil and volume decreases, increasing the pressure inside. Quiet exhalation or passive process: no muscles actively contract, caused by elastic recoil of stretched elastic fibers in lungs. Surface tension of alveolar fluid pulling alveoli inward. Steps: diaphragm and external intercostals relax. Diaphragm moves upward and ribs move downward. Thoracic cavity volume decreases. Alveolar pressure rises to approximately to 760 mmHg. Air flows outward from lungs to atmosphere. Forceful expiration. What happens in this process? It's an active process, occurs during exercise, singing or playing instruments. Muscles involved: abdominal muscles, they push diaphragm upward by compressing abdominal contents. Internal intercostals pulls rib downward and inward, increasing the thoracic cavity. Thoracic pressure forcefully to expel more air. In coughing, intrapleural pressure may temporarily exceed the atmospheric pressure. Factors affecting pulmonary ventilation: surface tension of alveolar fluid. Alveoli are lined with fluid which creates surface tension. Water molecules in the fluid stick together more strongly than to air and pulling alveoli inward. Effects: help shrink alveoli during exhalation, must be overcome during inhalation to expand lungs, accounts for approximately 2/3 of lung recoil. Role of surfactant produced by alveolar cells: reduces surface tension, makes inhalation easier. Deficiency causes respiratory distress syndrome or RDS in premature infants due to alveolar collapse. Compliance of the lungs. Compliance means easy with which lungs and chest wall can expand. Help: high compliance, easy expansion like a thin balloon. Low compliance, difficult expansion like a steep balloon. The image showing the lung compliance here. Causes of lung compliance: scar tissue, example tuberculosis. Fold in lungs, fluid in lungs in case of pulmonary edema. Surfactant deficiency, chest wall rigidity or muscle paralysis. In emphysema, compliance may be high but ineffective due to loss of elastic recoil. Airway resistance: airflow depends on pressure difference and resistance in airways. During inhalation, bronchioles widen, resistance decreases, easier airflow. During exhalation, bronchioles narrow and resistance increases. Nervous control, sympathetic nervous system, bronchodilation, it is less resistance, constriction or blockage increases resistance, seen in asthma or COPD, emphysema or chronic bronchitis. Breathing patterns and modified respiratory movements, the normal, quiet way we breathe is called eupnea. Eupnea can be shallow, deep or a mix of both. Breathing patterns are of four types. Eupnea means normal breathing rate and pattern. Trachypnea, it is the increasing respiratory rate. Bradypnea, it is the decreased respiratory rate. And apnea, it is the absence of breathing. There are two main types of breathing. Coastal breathing, that is chest breathing, involves the chest moving up and down, happens because the external intercostal muscles or muscles between the ribs contract. It is a shallow type of breathing. Diaphragmic breathing, it is abdominal breathing. It involves the abdomen moving outward, caused by the diaphragm contracting and moving downward. It is a deep type of breathing. Breathing does more than just take in air. It also helps us express emotions like laughing, sighing and crying or sobbing, clear out foreign particles by sneezing and coughing, control our voice for talking and singing. These movements are mostly autonomic reflexes, but we can also control them on purpose if needed, like when we sing, talk or take a deep breath. So I hope this class helped you understand the mechanism of respiration, the physiology of respiration, how air flows in and out, how pressure changes drive breathing, and how muscles and lung elastically work together. From quiet inhalation to forceful exhalation, every step ensures oxygen reaches your cells and carbon dioxide is removed. If you found this step-by-step explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more easy to understand lessons. Stay curious, stay consistent. See you in the next class. Thank you.